So the Terminator franchise is going 2 for 2 and attempts to be a trilogy at this point. And I'm serious, movies like Terminator 3 makes reviewing movies feel like work. Okay, so Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. So Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines supposedly takes place 9 years after Terminator 2, where Sarah and John Connor basically stopped Judgment Day, so we are in this alternate timeline. Judgment Day was supposed to occur on August 29th, 1997, but since that didn't happen, the characters are now in 2004 thinking that Judgment Day is completely gone. Or is it? But it still follows the story of John Connor, who's now living a lonely life after his mother passed away, and he's doing his best to stay off the grid and having no record of himself. That is until two Terminators sent from the year 2032 arrive in 2004, where one is supposed to protect John Connor and one is supposed to kill him. But instead of just killing John Connor, it's primarily focused on the fulfillment of Judgment Day, so these two cyborgs have to fight to determine the fate of John Connor and Judgment Day. Now, Terminator 3 was released in 2003, and for this movie to take place in 2004, yeah, they really fucked up on the timeline. I'll explain that later. Because the last two Terminators were written and directed by James Cameron, but in the third installment, he had nothing to do with it. Instead, we got director Jonathan Mostow taking on the project, but after this movie, it makes me wish James Cameron wrote this film. Because there were so many inconsistencies with about everything in the movie regarding Terminator lore, and for me, adoring this franchise, it's just bad writing for its part. However, behind the bad writing, I have to admit there was some material in there that I actually liked. And for the third time, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, that's okay. Don't watch this movie. That's what I'm here for. Now, Terminator-wise, everybody brings their A game, like Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. He gives another good performance as a machine who is designed to protect John Connor, who is the mission priority. He really is the selling point of the movie, and he doesn't fail to bring the action and the energy in this movie that made him iconic in the first place. It's just blasphemy if you can't have Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator in a Terminator movie. It's just the golden rule. No matter how many times he gives a cheesy one-liner, you can't help but be like, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, man. And we have the new Terminator assigned to kill John Connor, the TX played by Kristanna Loken, who has some pretty big shoes to fill after the arrival of one of the greatest villains of all time, the menacing T-1000. Her traits as a killing machine was an interesting concept, like she can shapeshift like the T-1000, but now she has the ability to take over other machines. And it was cool to see that she wasn't just after John Connor, but some of the important commanding officers for John Connor in the future. But if you really think about it, it's kind of pointless, since John Connor is the main figurehead with all this knowledge of knowing how to take out the Terminators. Like, officers can be replaced, but not John Connor. But seeing the Terminator and the TX duking it out, it was entertaining to watch. But when it comes to stuff that I like about the movie, that is where I draw the line. Because the acting in this movie was just all over the place. Like, you have Nick Stahl as John Connor, who's probably the worst portrayal of the character in the whole entire franchise. He gives a performance to where it didn't even look like he wanted to be there. Like, there was no wide range of his character. He was just this one single emotion. He should have changed his name from Nick Stahl to Nick Stale, because that's what his acting was in the movie. It was stale. But the one who absolutely bugged me the most was Catherine Brewster, played by Claire Danes, because throughout she was screaming and just all around being annoying. There's one scene where she recognizes John Connor when they first meet up, and she's like, oh yeah, we made up when we're like 10 years old, and then all of a sudden you just got up and left. Turns out John and Catherine literally had a thing the day before the T-1000 shows up, and this whole story on how he left her as children, I'm like, why? It's like everything has to be connected and shit, and for her to be like, oh my god, John, you left me as children. I'm like, lady, grow the fuck up. You're like 20 something and engaged and you're still hurt by that? Bitch, please. Yeah, it's kind of sad when the Terminators are more interesting characters than your real characters are. But what really upset me in this movie is how much inconsistency of Terminator lore is throughout. Even when the movie starts, I'm like, this does not feel like Terminator. Where is the cool intro and the iconic theme? Yeah, it just starts off right away. And they show the title of the movie like twice in a 1 minute time span. Like, why did you have to do that? But, it gets worse from here. When John Connor has his intro monologue, he's like, my name is John Connor. The Terminators tried to kill me before I was born, and they tried again at the age of 13. Whoa, wait, 13? Weren't you like 10 years old when the T-1000 tried to kill you? And when the Terminator gets to John Connor, and they explain to Catherine Brewster about John Connor's previous adventures with the Terminator as a kid, and he's like, yeah, the Terminator arrived protecting me as a child, and we took out Cyberdyne over 10 years ago. Because T2 was supposed to be based in 1995, and for this movie to be based in 2004, that's only 9 years later. Yeah, I know. now, I kind of sound like one of those precise douchebags. They just fucked up on the ears, but this is the one that made me go like, oh my god, you just wrote this really bad. John Connor, the Terminator, and Catherine Brewster get to the grave of Sarah Connor, and it reads that she died in 1997. And John says she had leukemia, she's had it for 3 years, and she just wanted to make sure that the world didn't end by August 29th, 1997. Which is cool, it's an interesting concept, but wouldn't that mean that she had cancer in Terminator 2 and they never ever mentioned that? See, just all these stories are forced together and they try to make everything connected and it just fails. However, what didn't fail all the way was the action. It was kind of like a hit and miss for me though. Because the concept of these action sequences are actually pretty cool, but it's the way it's executed that made me say, yeah, it just doesn't feel like Terminator. Some scenes look neat, like when John is driving away from the TX and she's driving that huge crane thingy, and she's just blowing shit over with explosions and those dumbass Michael Bay fireworks shooting out. There was just like the miss part for me. But some just looks like a damn video game, like when they jump off of something, it's like clearly blocky CGI. And it's really weird because there were some stunts in the movie and some parts they just didn't give a shit on what it looked like. However, this movie somewhat kept me entertained and it surprisingly had a solid ending. Like Skynet became self-aware, they just started killing everybody, and the nukes just went off and just destroyed the entire world. Like I said about the Terminator endings being beautiful yet sad, this one just ended like there was absolutely zero hope for the human race. And that just because they postponed the arrival of Judgment Day doesn't mean that they got rid of it for good. Like literally, you see the arrival of Judgment Day at the end of the movie. It was extremely horrifying because John Connor now knows that he has to be the leader that he is destined to be, with Catherine Brewster as his wife. Why he would marry her, to have kids, I guess. Because in the end, Terminator 3 tried its best to fit in the Terminator timeline, but it was just all over the place. The acting wasn't that great, and the script was just horrible in every sense of the way. But some action sequences were pretty cool, but there was nothing memorable in this one. Because I say Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines is only watchable when it's on Netflix. Huge disappointment in the franchise. This was like the genesis of when Terminator started to parody itself with Arnold Schwarzenegger's one-liners and just all that shit right there. It just became a joke at that point. But have you seen Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, and what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below. And as always, there's a link for my Twitter and my Facebook below as well. Keep in contact with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But in the meantime, I'll be back because really, it's fucking hot in my room. I'm sweating bullets, man. I gotta go.